Hi everyone, welcome to our community demo today. My name is Priya and I am a project manager here at Beyond Essential Systems. Today I'd like to go through our Tamanu vaccination certificates and more specifically focusing on the visible digital seals for our COVID-19 certificates. So I'll firstly run through the basic workflow of creating and disseminating a vaccine certificate in Tamanu, and then I'll go into more detail about how the VDS actually works. So we have been working with the PATH organization on the Digital Square project. This project aims to support the strengthening of our Tamanu electronic medical record system, specifically working towards enhancing our vaccination certificates to ensure that they conform with the World Health Organization's digital documentation of COVID-19 certificates, also known as the DDCC-VS. With Digital Square's helpful guidance and our BES team's hard work, we are confident and proud to be able to provide our users with a fully enhanced vaccination certificate. So here is a bit of an overview of the importance of a digital vaccination certificate and the impact that it has made so far in the Pacific. Digital vaccine certificates are an enhancement on the security and usability of the existing International Certificate of Vaccination or Prophylaxis, commonly known as the Yellow Card. The Yellow Card was established in 1933 and was used for the health risk control at borders for various epidemics and pandemics, such as cholera, meningitis, and the 2002-4 SARS outbreak. The Yellow Card is a paper document that is filled by hand and rubber stamped with an authority's official shield. Much like the text on passports, it has labels in only a handful of languages. Due to these aspects and the explosion of technological means in recent decades, the Yellow Card is almost trivially falsifiable now. This is why there is an increasing desire and demand for a document which is more compatible with a variety of languages spoken around the world, and which can be embedded in mobile phones and reduce or avoid reliance on paper. Global and interregional agencies have developed two major standards for this purpose. The United Nations, by its ICAO organization, has created a visible digital seal specification for non-constrained environments, which is modeled on the existing e-passport infrastructure. Concurrently, the European Union has put in place its digital COVID-19 certificates, also known as DCC or EU DCC. Tamanu can support both of these standards and offers these flexibly to countries using the platform. Nauru, for example, has chosen to use the BDS-NC standard. So as we know, vaccinations are a critical tool in bringing the number of COVID-19 cases down globally. As more and more countries in the Pacific are starting to allow travel again, many countries are requiring vaccinations for their travelers. Tamanu has positively assisted several Pacific Island countries with their COVID-19 immunizations campaigns, including Samoa, Tuvalu, and Nauru. Samoa uses two BES tools for their COVID-19 vaccine rollout, Tamanu and Tapaya. Tamanu is used to capture information of every individual receiving a vaccine. The data is then pulled into Tapaya to populate mapping-led visuals to support the Ministry of Health in their vaccine delivery planning. In Nauru, the country now tracks all COVID-19 vaccines using Tamanu's immunization module. Tamanu now also provides Nauru with a complete solution to issue internationally recognized vaccine certificates to all of its citizens. All right, so before I go ahead and show you the workflow in Tamanu, here's a quick rundown on how one can obtain and use a vaccination certificate and its features. So it all begins obviously with a vaccination. When someone is vaccinated, this event is recorded in Tamanu by the health practitioner against the patient's history. At a patient's request or as a matter of procedure, a vaccination document is generated. The document takes the form of a single-page PDF with a summary of the vaccinations the patient has undertaken and a generated QR code, which contains the VDS-NC data. This QR code is generated once the certificate has been transmitted directly from Tamanu to the patient via email. The patient then travels outside of their country. At a foreign border, customs or sanitation officers view this document, either on a mobile device or in printed form. Using a barcode scanner, the VDS NC data is accessed and locally verified. With the data verified, officers are able to reliably trust information within and allow access or throughfare to the traveller based on their vaccination status. Now here is a simple diagram which describes the features within a Tamanu COVID-19 vaccination certificate. So you can see it has the national logo displayed on the top left here, which can also be used as a certificate's watermark as well. It has all the required patient details up here, such as name, date of birth, passport number, nationality, and so on. It also contains a unique vaccine certificate identifier, which is unique to each certificate. It has the vaccine details, including the brand name and country of administration. And up here, it has a visible digital seal QR code, which can comply with either ICAO or EU DCC standards. This QR code will not appear if the certificate is printed directly from Tamanu. The QR code is only generated and signed with an encryption key on the central server once it has been emailed to a recipient. And down here, there is also a configurable footer area with email and contact details. Okay, so now I'll take you over to Tamanu to show you a demonstration on how we produce and disseminate a vaccination certificate. Okay, so to begin with, I'm going to open up our dummy patient, Miss Alicia Smith, to show you the workflow. Oops, let me just log back in there. Okay. Okay, so here we go. We're now in Alicia's patient summary screen. So to view the patient's immunization history, we can click on the immunizations tab up here on the top. And now you can see a list of all the immunizations that Alicia has had till date. We can see that she's had dose 1, dose 2, and the booster shot of the COVID-19 Pfizer vaccine. So once the patient has received the vaccines, we can then view their certificate by clicking the View Certificate button up here. By clicking this button, a preview of the vaccine certificate will appear. And it gives us two options to either email or print the certificate. Now you may notice here that in this preview, there is no QR code visible at the moment. And that is because the QR code needs to be generated and signed with an encryption key, which is on the central server, which takes place when the certificate is emailed to the recipient. So if we were to print directly from this view right here, there would be no QR code on the certificate. It would appear exactly as it does here in this preview. Now, if we were to choose the email option, a pop-up will appear requesting the nominated email address for this certificate to be emailed to. Now, if the patient has already provided their email address previously and it has been entered in the patient's details into Tamanu, then this would automatically pull the email address into the patient email field right here. So if this email address is incorrect or they nominated different email address, this can easily be amended right here before sending the certificate off. So for today, I will be sending the certificate to myself for demonstration purposes. So I'll just amend that right here. And then you'll be asked to confirm the email address. And then we can click confirm for the email to be sent. right, so now I'll just show you an example of how the certificate is received in email. Okay, so you can now see that this certificate has been sent through as a PDF attachment. Please note that the subject field and the body of the email can be customized for each deployment in Tamanu. Okay, so now we can open this one up and we can see that this vaccine certificate is now complete with a QR code and all the recommended data elements that complies with international standards. All right. So now that you have an understanding of how the vaccination certificates are created, I'm now going to explain in more detail how the VDSNC works and its importance. So as the entire purpose of the vaccination certificate is to be validated at the border or overseas to prove that one has been vaccinated, this verification must be watertight. It must be quick so that it does not slow down any of the current processes at border control, and it must be trusted. There should be no doubt and no possibility of forgery. Both the ICAO and EU standards have been designed to ensure this. Both standards are based on QR codes. It's important to highlight that the format of these codes is unchanged and that they can be read by any existing QR code reader, such as those present on mobile phones and verification devices in airports. Only the data inside the QR code is new, so only a software update would be required to interpret them correctly. So the data inside the QR codes include information about the relevant vaccines the holder has received, as well as some of the identity details. This information is machine readable. For example, instead of the data being text reading, this is to certify that Pooja Fairco Acosta, born on 23rd of June 1973, has received dose 1 of the Pfizer vaccine at RON Hospital, Nauru. The data would instead look like this coding shown here below. So undoubtedly, this is a lot more obscure for a human to read. However, this format means that a reader application in English can show a summary like the one above, but others in French, Japanese, or Nauruan can show the information with language-appropriate labels without risk of misunderstanding and without requiring translation. So alongside this data is a cryptographic signature and verification information. In simple terms, this uses something called asymmetric keys, which is a complicated mathematical algorithm that provides keys made of two parts: a private key, which is kept secret, and a public key, which can be safely given out. They are used to provide an unforgeable proof that some data was created by the person or system that owns the secret part of the key, a fact which can be verified using only the public part of the key. So these processes are called signing and verifying, and they are used to protect and authenticate communications on the internet and elsewhere, such as for credit cards and airplane boarding passes. Vaccine certificates use a two-tier signature scheme. The data in the QR code is signed with a private key that Tamanu has access to, and both the public key and the signature are distributed alongside the original data. The keys that Tamanu uses are further signed by a signing authority that represents the country, such as Nauru. So the country's public key is shared with other countries via unilateral agreements directly between countries, or more commonly with a service of the International Civil Aviation Organization, the Public Key Directory, which is a central repository for exchanging the information required to authenticate electronic machine-readable travel documents, such as e-passports or visible digital seals. So at the endpoint of all of this is a customs agent in another country. Upon scanning a QR code, the reader's software verifies the data through the signature and against Tamanu's public key, which are both provided alongside the data in the QR code. Then it retrieves the country's public key from the PKD and verifies Tamanu's public key, thus establishing a chain of trust which ensures that the data is not a forgery. So the public keys of all participating countries are long-lived. They last for over a decade. Therefore, airports, checker applications, and other agents can retrieve the entire list of country public keys at once every so often, and are then able to stay offline to check QR codes if necessary. The entire checking process is almost instant. It takes less than a second to perform all of these steps. So BES has done the work for both standards. So it is completely up to the deployment country on which standard they'd like to support. The digital certificates can be verified by apps available on Google Play and the App Store. Currently, Nauru, Tuvalu, and Samoa all live with the system in place. We are excited to be deploying the system to more countries in the Pacific to help them provide their population with the means to safely travel overseas. And that's all for our community demonstration today. I hope you all enjoyed and now have a better understanding of vaccination certificates and visible digital seals. Thank you.